If you look closely, this sensor is different than that one. Pull up on this red clip, it'll come up and stop. Then you press this black tab and you'll see it depress. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be working on a 2020 Jeep Cherokee, and we are going to be fixing the oil filter housing slash oil filter housing cooler part on this car. This is from what I understand, a pretty common failure on these cars, and the symptoms of it are basically just leaking oil. Now, this here has the oil filter, but it also connects to your coolant system and basically circulates the coolant through here as well. So you're going to be opening up your coolant system and your oil, so it might be a little bit messy. Gonna need some coolant, gonna need some oil. If you haven't done your oil change yet, this is probably a good time to do that. And if you have, depending on how much oil you lose, you could probably just add additional oil and you should be okay. So to get started, here's what we're doing. Pop the hood on this guy, and effectively the oil filter housing is underneath here. So we're going to be pulling this. I believe it's buried under an intake as well. I'll take a look at that as soon as I open this up and show you guys what we're looking at here. I'll also go over a little bit about any of the tools, any special tools that you need to do this. I have seen that this is a Torx bit here, so you'll at least need those tools. And then it also comes with what looks to be an intake gasket. So I'm gonna go ahead and start taking this thing apart, and I'll show you guys what it looks like once we get down to the oil filter housing. All right, so here's where I'm at with the engine cover and the top intake. So the engine cover, you basically just pop it off. It sits on these little tabs here. The top intake is going to be a little bit more of a pain. The first thing you got to do is you got to get this guy moved back. So you take apart this hose, pull it off, disconnect it here. This thing is going to be able to slide back off of this guy. Just be careful so you don't break it. Before you do that, disconnect any of these hoses that are connected and all these connections. These red tabs, you basically press them back, they'll unclip, and then you just use it like a normal clip and it'll come off. So just look around, see what's connected to what, disconnect the wires, move this back. Then you got a couple 8mm that you got to get to. The reason you got to move this is you won't be able to get to that guy without moving this out of the way. So once you do all that, you got a screw and a nut down there, and in the back. The way I found out how to take these guys off, the best way, because it's kind of wedged in there, is you take the 10mm nuts here and back there, and then you physically unscrew these guys out of it, and then you pull the intake out. So this guy's going to come off, and then we'll go to the next step under here. I want to show you guys how to take apart or how to take off these injector clips. So you basically pull up on this red clip, it'll come up and stop. Then you press this black tab and you'll see it depress, and then you yank up and it'll come off. Do not try to use your finger and yank on the wires, because it's not going to work. You will tear the wires out of the plug. Just take your time, go around and do every single one of these like that with a little bit of patience, and you will be successful. Let's see how this one comes off. That. There we go, just like that. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep working on this to get this lower intake off. Well, this is what it looks like with the lower intake off. The first thing you want to do is try to vacuum before, if you can. I wasn't able to do that, so I removed it carefully, making sure nothing falls to the motor. Dropped the towels in there, then I vacuumed afterwards. Try to get as much of this stuff off the intake and the engine as I could. So as you can see here, you can see where it's leaking here. Here are the connections that I was talking about to the coolant. You got some sensors, and I'm sure there's oil held up in here as well. So we're going to go ahead and start taking this stuff apart. So the oil filter housing is an E8, so it's one of these guys. You got 5 bolts. You got one right here, one right there, one right here, one right there, and then one back here, which if you walk to the side of the car you'll be able to see. So you got those guys off. This will be able to come up. I imagine it's going to make a pretty big mess in there, so I'm going to go ahead and grab some stuff to soak up the oil. One thing I did forget to mention is if you drove the car before this, just note that there is a coolant line that goes to this, and obviously coolant's hot, so just be careful around that. Make sure that you are being careful working with anything hot on the motor, and protect your eyes, all that stuff at all times. So I'm gonna go ahead, pull this off and disconnect the things, throw the new one on. I did check, which make sure you also do this, I did check if the new one has the oil filter in it. It does. So when I put stuff in, I'm going to put a little bit of oil in there, put it in, and that will then bring me to the assembly portion. Okay, here it is, cleaned up about as good as I could. Used almost a roll of shop towels. This basically fills up with oil coolant, so had to get in there, clean everything up to the best of my ability. There's still a little bit of oil or coolant down there. It'll burn off as the motor gets hot, so I'm not too concerned about that. I'm gonna go ahead and start putting in the new units. One thing I did do is I just ran a razor blade on these surfaces, same as here. This is just staining. There's not a rise there when I run my finger over it, but if you run your finger over and you can feel a rise like gasket material, just scrape it off. Be careful that you don't let it go into the motor. So I put these towels here. If it does get in there, before I remove these towels, I vacuum around them. I hold a towel, vacuum around it to get any particulates out, to make sure nothing goes into the motor. You protect the motor and it'll last for a very long time. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the new unit in. Before I bolt it down, there's a couple things I'm gonna do. One, I'm gonna go ahead and make the connections out here because this is tight. The other thing I'm gonna do is there's a O-ring here. I'm gonna put a little bit of oil on it so it slips in there nicely. And I'm just gonna put a little bit of oil on all of these gaskets here. These are basically like crush gaskets that are rubber, but what that's going to do is that's going to allow the gasket to kind of seat in there and spread out instead of adhere and potentially not seat correctly. That's always worked very well for me, so I'm going to continue to do that and start putting this thing back together. I thought it was going to be too good to be true, and it was. Ran into a slight issue. Hopefully we can get this addressed. The new unit has the sensors where the old unit had as well, but if you look closely, this sensor is different than that one. So what I'm going to do is, well, two things. One, I'm going to hope that these are the same size and thread. And two, I'm going to go ahead and remove that one, swap them, and hopefully that'll get me around this issue. That sensor for the filter housing ended up fitting into the new housing. So let me show you guys what that looks like. So hooked everything up. Couple of things. One, in order to get that coolant hose on, the best thing to do is take a pair of pliers, grab the clamp, hold the clamp, which will also hold the hose, and then use the pliers to walk the hose onto this unit. Otherwise, you're going to struggle pretty hard getting that hose on. So got that hose on, sensors on. I did use some thread sealant on that sensor down there because it did come from the factory with some thread sealant on it. So I followed suit, put that sensor in, plugged everything in, went ahead and bolted down these bolts here. just make sure that you're not cranking on these things. I don't really know how many foot-pounds I tighten these down to, but I mean, I've been doing this long enough to know what overdoing it is. It's an 8mm bolt, so don't crank on it with a 1/2-inch ratchet. Anyway, there's a O-ring that goes into the block from this housing. It's green, and then there's a black one that comes with the kit. Make sure you pay attention to the instructions. If the car is I think like a 2014 to 2022, use the green one, and if it's 2022 and up, use the black one. So just make sure that you're using the right O-ring for your car. I'm gonna go ahead and continue putting this together, and we should be done here shortly. So while I'm doing this, I want to show you guys another pointer. Before you put your lower intake on, make sure that you install the new gaskets that come along with the kit. There's actually two types of gaskets. They're both rectangular, but one has like a little cutout, the other one doesn't. I suppose you wouldn't be able to really screw it up unless you're not paying attention, but I feel like I should point this out. So the bottom ones have the little cutouts, and the top ones use these rectangles, and really to get them out, you just use a pick, wedge it in there, and yank that out. I'm going to go ahead, put new ones in, put a little bit of oil on them just like I did with the other stuff down there, and then drop the remove the paper towels, drop the lower intake on there, and just continue from there. Two more things I want to show you guys. So when I was handling this lower intake, I did not disconnect the fuel line. I just let it pivot on this fitting here. Now it works very well. However, when you flip this intake over, this screw here along with the washer comes out, and when you go to flip it back over, this washer will wedge here between this ledge here and the and this fitting, and it won't allow it to swivel. And if you don't pay attention to that, you just keep twisting it around, you can run the risk of breaking this. So just pay attention to that. The other thing is, in typical fashion, the engineers decided that the smartest thing to do is not have this bolt here have a washer attached to it. It's detached, so there's not really a good way to drive this down. You can't really drive it down with a socket. I guess you could if it's a shorter socket. Drive it down and find a spot for it to grab onto the block. So I'm going to go ahead and use this guy here, which is a Torx 20, the male bit here. I'm just going to go ahead and get them started with my hand, and then I'll get them down with a ratchet and just tighten them down. Always be careful whenever you're installing stuff like this. Don't start off with like a ratchet or any power tool, simply because if you're working with aluminum, it'll cross through fairly quickly. As you can see here, the car is done. Everything's put back together. I ended up topping off the coolant, oil. It was missing maybe half a quart or so. I'm gonna let the individual know who owns this car that he'll need to check his fluids after he drives it for a little bit. But yeah, so pretty easy job. Takes a little bit of time, but still well worth it depending on what you're quoted. In this situation, the individual who talked to me about this job said that the shop quoted him somewhere around $1,500, which I think is ridiculous. So we ended up knocking it out, making a video so you can do this at home with relative ease. If you guys like this video, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.